First of all, thank all of you for coming here. Like I'm touched that you all came by to listen to me for the next hour. First off, though, before we start, a few things. One, I already told you about the panelists. I'm unfortunate. Two, I'm a contractor. So everything that I'm going to tell you guys here today, I just wanted to make sure that you understand that I do not say anything on behalf of any of the companies that I'm speaking of. I say everything from my own experience. So don't be like, well, that was the Nintendo guy. No, don't say that. But that too, because my panelists aren't here, you guys might have questions. Some questions I may not be able to answer. That's kind of what they were here for. If there's something that I can't answer, we'll take it offline. I'll get an answer back from them. I'll give it to you, via Instagram, email, whatever works for you. But I am knowledgeable, I promise you that. Kind of. I say I am. With that being said, welcome to From Hotdogs to Smash Bros, Unique Jobs in Gaming. My name is Cam. It's nice to meet you all. As the title suggests, we're going to be talking about a lot of jobs today in video games, in the video game industry, that aren't just the stereotypical arts, programming, coding, and things of that nature. Some of them are pretty funny, like I promise you that. But we're going to talk about some misconceptions. We're going to talk about a lot of things here that maybe some people may or may not agree with. Some things that are a little bit more, I guess you could say, controversial. But at the end of the day, I'm here to give you all knowledge so that you can do what you want to do with your careers, not just feed you fluff as, well, the key to finding a job is to believe in yourself and go out there with a good hope. And I'm not here for that. I know you're not here for that. You want actionable things that you can do to actually get a job in video games. That's what I'm here for. So let's get started. It took 2 hours to make that page flip happen, by the way. I'm kind of impressed with myself. As I mentioned, my name is Cam. So I have been working in experiential marketing in video games for the past 12, 13 years, depending on if you believe 2020 happened or not. I have done everything from mall tours, road tours, PAX. I've done E3. I've done merchandising. I've been both a costume character and a costume character handler. If you've been to any Nintendo holiday events, I've worked almost every one since 2009. Whether it was at Tyson's Corner, Columbia, where else have we been? We've been at Pentagon City, we've been in Annapolis Mall. So you may have seen me. I also occasionally do merchandising for different companies. So there's multiple territories within this area. So like DC is like cut in half, part of it goes to Maryland, some slight parts of it go into like Silver Spring and then up into Frederick. So depending on my contract, I might be in Virginia, I might be in Maryland, depending upon what I'm doing. But long story short, I do it all, and I enjoy doing it all. That being said, the name of the panel itself came from, I got my start actually working at Nationals Ballpark back when it first opened in 2007. I was working in the little children's area next to the PlayStation Pavilion selling hot dogs. I was terrible at it. They did not like me over there because making a hot dog is easy in your house. Making it for like 30,000 people is annoying. But I was doing that, and then I got moved over to the PlayStation Pavilion side. The managers of the PlayStation Pavilion continued to get let go and fired for various reasons. Two of them had drug issues. Well, I probably shouldn't be telling you this, but two of them had, let's just say, issues. One of them was stealing merchandise. One of them, her boyfriend came and had a fight with the fan. A lot of things happened. But I was actually helping a fan out one day, and I didn't know that the fan was actually one of the senior members over at Sony of America, like the Sony branch over in Santa Monica Studios. And she was really impressed with what I did, and she was like, would you be interested in the job? And I was like, get out of the baseball stadium, sure. And she was like, no, right here doing this. And then that's how I got on board with the PlayStation Pavilion. Through what we're going to talk about today, networking, I was able to meet some of the people over at Nintendo. Then that's how I got involved in the Holiday Mall Tour. I've done like every major console release, handheld and home console since the Wii for the Holiday Tour. But that's enough about me though. We're not here to talk about me. We're here to talk about you guys. Also, that bottom left picture is actually a pool party we had in American University's fountain that was sponsored by Coca-Cola. So that was a pretty fun opportunity. But as I mentioned, we're here to talk about you guys. So When you're talking about getting a job in video games, the place that you want to start at is first you want to ask yourself, what do you want to do? You know, there's a million different opportunities out there. There's a million different jobs, and some of them you guys are going to see here today. But the first question you have to ask is, what do you want to do? And I say 2 reasons for that. Number one, a question that I ask a lot of people when they ask me how to get a job in video games is, do you want to work in the video game industry, or do you want a job that lets you play video games all day? Because sometimes those are 2 completely different things. You could really work at a parking garage and just play the Switch all day long if you really want to do something like that. Or you could work at Nintendo and the finances department, or you could work at PlayStation in the accounts receivables department, and you might never see a video game while you're there other than what's plastered on the wall for decoration. So that's the first thing you need to decide. The second thing, and this brings us to our first misconception, whatever you do, telling somebody I will do anything is a terrible answer. Like that is never the option that you want to take when you're talking about getting a job working in the video game industry. Why? 2 reasons. Number one, it tells the hiring person that you're speaking to that you're not bringing any or little value to this company, because I want you to tell me what I'm going to do. More importantly, it's also telling the company that you want me to figure out what it is that you want to do, you want me to figure out what it is that you can do at your job. And working at various holiday tours and managing various tours, that happens very frequently. People come up and say, I'll do anything, you know, but so the fact that you don't know what you want to do, I can't just put you somewhere. More importantly, there's people that are going to apply to the job that you want that know exactly what they want to do. They have the qualifications, they have everything else. So it's very, you know, it doesn't help your situation if you don't know what you want to do. But we're going to talk about some stuff that you could do. Some of them you probably didn't even know existed. Which brings me to misconception number 2. Every job in video games is art, design, or programming. This is not true. There are jobs within video games that span a whole plethora of different industries. Some of them we'll talk about here. Some of them I'll give you some information on. But just know that we'll get to that in a second. A couple of the job opportunities that you could take in video games. And once again, these are just some of the fun ones that I found out there, some of the fun ones that I've talked to different individuals while I've gone to these different contracts. So there's many more than this. These are just some of the more fun ones. Baseball specialist. This is an actual career position at Sony PlayStation. The chief purpose of this position, you'll usually be working with the MLG, the show team, the one that designed that games. But in essence, you're like a QA designer, but you're literally looking for the authenticity of the game compared to actual Major League Baseball. The chief qualification to get hired for this job is you must have a passion for baseball. I kid you not. This goes before any degrees. This goes before any long-term. There's obviously other experiences, but that is the chief principle to get hired to a job like this. A chef. A lot of people don't know that there's companies out there, some like Sodexo, they actually employ different chefs to work at different restaurants. This is an actual picture of PlayStation's cafeteria with the chef staff that work there. And there's the same similar situation if you were to work over at Nintendo's corporate office over in Redmond, Washington, where you could actually be a chef. You can go to culinary school and get a job working at a video game company if that's something that you want to do. Next. Motion capture actor. Now, there's a very distinct difference between a motion capture actor and a motion capture artist. If you are a motion capture artist, you're working with the design team, the development team to actually rig the characters, make all of this function. The actor is just the person in the suit. And there's people who have whole careers where their whole job is to practice acting, put on these suits, and be whatever character that the design teams need. You might be doing fight scenes for a knight, you might be a dragon, you might be whatever he was in this one movie. I don't know which movie this is from, but there are situations where you have like full-time act like him, Benedict Cumberbatch, Doctor Strange, who fulfill some roles like this, but for the vast majority of the game design, of the motion capture, that's gonna be through just regular actors. Cultural belonging manager, this actually has quite a few different names in the industry. Diversity specialist, diversity and inclusion manager. In essence, your job is you're working with HR, you're working with the ethics department. You're in essence, you're doing the opposite of everything that Activision Blizzard is doing right now. So, You're actually the one making sure that people are being in compliance with not just being a jerk to other people in essence. Content trust and personal information manager. This is actually one of my favorite ones because people don't talk about this very often. These are the people, when you have like a online subscription, whether it's through like say PlayStation Plus or even just through when you're about to boot up a game, they're the ones that make sure that the terms and services and the policies and procedures are being followed to protect your information. You know, you may or may not know this, but companies do sell your data to make a quick buck off of that. But there are laws, varying from country to country, but there are laws that need to be protected, and it's someone's job within the studio, whether it be Bandai Namco, when at the beginning of the game that you scroll all the way down and click OK, someone has to verify that these steps are being followed, these rules are being followed, so that they don't get sued for your information going to the wrong person. Localization, writer, and specialist, these are two different positions. A specialist is someone who encompasses the majority of localization. When you think of localization, the easiest, these are the people who take the game and actually like make it so that when it goes to a different country, it's kind of within like a certain standard. So the easiest example I can give to you is 4Kids Entertainment. When they used to get dubs or get anime and then dub it over here and then try to like localize it, like make it more culturally acceptable for the United States. And I say it's different because a specialist is the person that takes care of all of that. They're the general overseer overall. So they make sure that the game is in compliance with the ESRB. They make sure that, if any of you, has anyone here played Genshin Impact by any chance? Awesome. Recently, they had an issue where some of the characters were deemed a little bit too inappropriate by the Chinese government. So they had to make some adjustments. To use an example of that, let's say that Genshin was an American-made, because Genshin's a Chinese-made game. If it was made in America, it would be the localization specialist's job to then take that information, relay it over to the dev team, relay it over to the marketing team and say, hey, we need to make these changes. The localization writer is a much easier position because all you're doing is localizing copy. You're making it so that a winner is you is not written within the game, whether it's within the dialogue of the game, whether it's within the guidebooks to the game, whether it's in the marketing print or whatever it is. All your job is, they make the words, I write them down in essence, and making sure they make sense within whatever language that it is that you need. Senior influencer relations and content manager. Now, it's obviously people, content creators, people on YouTube, people who do like, tweets and stuff like that. They obviously like to play the different games, and then they like to well, let me give you a more accurate definition. What you're doing with this job is you're overseeing the management of content creators. You're overseeing the management of content itself, whether it be blogs, whether it be online videos, and then you're also talking to external businesses as far as how they use your brand. For example, you might have a deal with Coca-Cola, and Coca-Cola has taken Halo and they put it all over the place and they want to run a trailer with Master Chief. Your job is to make sure they're in compliance with your standards, with the difference between if Coca-Cola was managing Master Chief versus if Coca-Cola was managing Mario. Those are two different IPs that are handled in two completely different ways as far as like the general audience of who's watching it. Or even better, Mario versus say Call of Duty. Like those are two completely different ways those are handled. Your job as that manager is to oversee all of that and oversee communications with the influencers. I put his picture up there because at the time he got banned from Fortnite because he was doing things he wasn't supposed to be doing. And that would be the influencer relations manager's job to then convey that information to him of why you fell out of line within our policies and our procedures. And then finally, product representative, and that's a picture of me. What in essence you're doing now is you're the face of the brand at different events. You can also do stuff with merchandising. People also call us brand ambassadors. So if you were to say go to E3 or PAX, we might be one of the people that you see at one of the booths, giving you some of the experience. Believe it or not, in many cases, we are contractors. There are, not in every case, but in some cases where you might be at an event, we might not be actual employees of the company. We might be working through a third-party organization. Now, that's not to say every situation is like that. There are times where companies will take people from in-house and set us up at different locations, but Sometimes it might be an event so massive that you need to bring in, say, 80 plus employees to work an event for something. Like, for example, working at PAX, there was, I think, maybe 55 of us that had to manage that entire booth at PAX East specifically. Also, I promised the panelists who were supposed to be got to put that photo up. This was the release of the Wii U, and this perfectly captures how confusing the Wii U was, because you can see on all three of our faces how confused we are at that activity we were doing. Of all the positions that are out there, the one position that is not out there, I don't care which company you go to, is the ideas guy. So I want to go ahead and squash that misconception right now that there is no opportunity to be, oh, I just want to be the guy that thinks of the games. Like, I have all these great ideas, and I think that does not exist. The closest you can get to that is maybe the creative director, maybe even the production manager. But even then, in a perfect world, the only way that this would exist is you'd have to have your own company with your own say in what they're making. You have to have so much capital that you don't need to have any stakeholders that can get a say in it. You don't need to have any stock options for people that can then get a say in it. And you have to have like no care in the world of whether or not your concept is even good enough for the consumers you're going to give it to. All that together is not going to be a great game, probably not going to happen. So I say all that to say there is no ideas guy. So that's not even an option. But we've talked about some of the positions. Now we get to talk about how you can actually get some of these positions, or whatever other position that you might be able to think of. And the first one, the first thing that I want to tell you guys as far as trying to get a job in video games, and like I said, this could get a little dicey, but your grades, if you're a student or you were a student, your grades do not matter in getting you a job in video games. In essence, in getting you a job anywhere, unless you were doing something like you wanted to be a math teacher, you need to prove that you had some kind of understanding of math to a degree that you can teach it at, say, a college level. But if you go to school, go to class, come home, take your tests, take your quiz, come home, pass, get straight A's, and then graduate, you have wasted your time in school to get a job in video games. What you need to be doing while you're at school is you need to be networking. You need to be taking advantage of any opportunities that you can get to go to different career events. You need to take opportunities to do projects. If you do want to do something in game design, you need to be doing as many projects as you can while you're there. And we're going to get to in a second the hierarchy of what's important while you're in school and leaving school. But I just want to just hit this home for a moment that grades are the least important. Graduate, don't not graduate. Don't be like, well, I can get F's now. You told me I don't have to worry about my grade. But at the end of the day, your grades, no one looks at your resume and says, oh, he got an A+ or he got a 4.8. That's not pertinent to can you do this job well. Versus I was the president of the such and such club, or I did this internship while I was in school and I got this experience. Now, one major thing I want to tell you guys about as far as school is concerned, your career counselor, many schools have them, a career office or a person who actually helps you find jobs. In most cases, this is the worst person to help you find a job in school. I'm gonna tell you this again, real talk, this is the worst person to help you find a job, because in most cases, if you were talking about a massive school, and this is just the career counselor of the school, there are so many different jobs, there are so many different positions, there's so many different opportunities, there's no possible way they can keep up with all of that. The best person when you're in school to talk to as far as helping you get a job is your professor, because usually your professor is in tune with that industry. More than likely, they worked in what it is that you're trying to do. Now, I'm gonna give you guys a little hack, all right? This stays in this room, minus that camera. If you have already graduated school, or you are currently in school, I want you, once you figured out what it is that you want to do, I want you to find the professor in your school that is within the discipline of what you want to do. So if it's in, game design, maybe he's a programming 101 professor or whatever it is. I want you to find them. I want you to write an email to them, say hello, and ask them if they could give you any advice on finding a connection in video games. I don't care if you know them or not. Because most professors have so many students, they probably would believe you if you told them they were in your class and you weren't. The reason why this is because this is the person you need to make connections with. You don't need to make connections with the person who's going to show you how to use LinkedIn 15 times. I say that from experience. But stays in this room, telling you guys all the hacks today. The hierarchy of importance when it comes to what you should be doing when you're in school, even outside of school and even networking, is who you know, who you can know, meaning I don't know this person yet, but I get an opportunity to meet them, who you should know, so who you forgot that you knew. Oh, I do have a professor that I, ran over his dog, and he just so happens to be the husband of the CEO of this company. Who you don't know, but will write you referrals anyway. Many professors do that. Many people who want to see you get an opportunity, but they'll say, well, I don't remember you, but you know what? Sounds legit. Here you go. I'll refer you to this person. All of that is the most important, is who you know. That's going to be the easy way to get yourself a path into anything that you want to do. Experience is the second most important thing that you can have. Lots of experience, some experience, 1 day of experience. Any experiences that you have that directly correlate to what you want to do are going to carry you almost as far as knowing the person who's in there. Relevant degrees are less important than 1 day of experience. Why? Because you don't put 1 day of experience on your resume. You put, I worked at this place 2022. No one has to know it was for a day. I'm just saying that. Puppy dog eyes are one level above a degree, a relevant degree. Because at the end of the day, you have to understand that, and this is the same thing whenever there's some events where I'll actually be a part of the hiring process. I've been part of the firing process too, but part of the hiring process. And the last thing that we really look into is your degree, because many organizations, many companies that you'll want to work for, understand that usually the things that you learn about in college are theory. You don't really learn about practice. You don't really, unless you have taken the initiative to go out and find the internship opportunities, the extra credit opportunities, the club organizations, unless you have done that yourself, all you've done is read a book, and anyone can read a book. So that's I'm not trying to bash going to school. I don't want to douse anyone's dreams going to school, but just understand that the experiences that you get are going to outweigh the degrees that you have. Only thing a degree will help you do is if you want to negotiate a higher price salary down the road. Cool. Now, playing video games in your basement, in your house, in your living room, it's not going to magically make a job float down to you. Getting a 20 KD in Call of Duty is not going to make Activision just call you up and say, hey, we have this opportunity, we'd love for you to come by and hang out with us. Mm-hmm. So you're going to have to take the initiative to go out and find the jobs yourselves if you want to get a job. Now, when it comes to actually the places you need to go to find a job, the number one place that's going to help you the quickest is if you go to a place where you can meet people, a convention, a job fair, some place where you can get face-to-face with a hiring manager, someone within industry, someone who's been doing it for a long time that has connections. Make these relationships. Networking does not have to be scary if you don't think of it as a job. People go into networking with people with the assumption that, okay, let me just do this real quick and tell them what I want, and it's me, and hopefully they'll give me something. People don't go into networking with the idea of, let me go make a friend who down the road can help me get to where I want to go. That's the secret to how you network with people in the gaming industry. Play video games with them. The difference between coming up to somebody, think of it if this was yourself. The difference between coming up to somebody and saying, hey, can you do this for me? Like, I know you don't know me or know anything about me or anything, but can you put a referral in for me at your organization that might get you in trouble if I mess up, but you don't know me? Versus trying to learn about somebody, meeting somebody. Hey, what are you here for? I know how to do X, Y, and Z. Could I talk to you more about the things that I know? And then going that route. The next best place to look for, like I mentioned before, is at colleges, at universities, within the fields that you're trying to get into, talking to professors you don't even know, to try to see what connections they might have, what projects they might have going on. Because when I was in school, I had one professor, I didn't know the guy, but he was in the entrepreneurial program at Howard University. And I met with him because I heard great things about him, and I helped him out with a couple of his projects. And then when I went on to grad school, I helped him with some of his undergraduate courses that he needed to do and some of the conversations he needed to have with those students. And then from there, he was able to put me in touch with people that helped me grow the organizations that I was a part of in school. That's how you make connections with people that then help you later on in life. Now, beneath that, before you go on to an online, like the company page, like a NintendoJobs.com, there are websites that will give you job openings. For example, has anyone ever used Indeed before? What if I told you that there is actually an Indeed that only does video games and tech jobs? It is called Hitmarker.com. This website, or excuse me, Hitmarker.net. This website is indeed for video game and tech careers. Write this down. For example, today alone, there have been openings from the Pokemon Company International, Riot Games, Epic Games, Psynox, Electronic Arts, Maxis Studios, Hi-Res Studios, 2K Games, Hothead Games, Bethesda, CD Projekt Red, and Nintendo. Today alone. There's clearly more, but I mean, I only got an hour, so I couldn't really write all that down. But know that you can sort these based on location. This is more of this, the ones on the list right now. These are more of just the general locations. You can go by East Coast, you can go by remote, you can go by companies that aren't even in the US. When you're researching which jobs you want to apply for, understand that many companies that have home offices in one country have satellite locations in others. For example, a lot of people think of Ubisoft as a European company, which it is, but it has 3 satellite locations throughout the United States. One of them is in North Carolina. So take that in consideration when you're doing your research. Below that, you can also look at the company pages themselves. Understand this, a company is looking to fill a position when they need the position open. They aren't looking to fill the position when you need a job. So just because you need a job today doesn't mean that today is the only day you should search on their page. Look every day. Look frequently until you find what you're looking for. Call them, ask them. You know, when you start to make relationships with people, get a LinkedIn. I swear on everything, LinkedIn in 2022 is going to take you so much farther in trying to make connections with people to find a job. When you start making those connections with people, you can start asking them, do you know if a position is coming open in this? For example, depending on your situation, like how young you are and what you have going on for you, you might be able to move. Someone might say, oh, I'm sorry, there's no position open right now for cloud engineer at the DC location, but there is an opening coming up over in South Carolina, or there is an opening coming up in Baltimore if you're willing to move. So, but the only way you find that information out is by making these connections with people. Don't be scared to reach out to people, meet them, learn about them, make friends with them, and then start to try to ask them, how can I do what you do? Or how can I get into the the organization that you're working at? Last piece of information. Settle on a career path, not a company. If you tell yourself, I am going to work at PlayStation, that is going to make things 1 billion times harder versus you finding a position and being flexible enough to go wherever that position is open. You might get enough experience down the line to where you can one day work for the career that you or the organization that you want to work for. But just know that if you say, nope, I am a Nintendo fan for life, I am not working anywhere else, you are going to shoot yourself in the foot. All right. Now, this is a misconception that gets overlooked a lot. When things don't go your way, and they will, there will be times when things don't work out. You don't get the job that you wanted, the interview didn't go as great as you thought it was gonna go, this company wasn't a great fit. Do not burn bridges. Do not tell yourself that once I leave this place, I'm gone forever. And I actually have a story to go along with this. This was the Nintendo holiday tour when did Smash Brothers U release? 2013, somewhere in there. Anyway, we needed to hire for somebody. And I was given the opportunity to be a part of the hiring process. I had 4 applicants and I needed to fill a position, just one person. No, 4 applicants that I needed to narrow it down from. I only needed one position. The first person, there was like one small detail that just the applicant number 2 had that was just a little bit better. I forgot what it was. It was something like he just didn't have, so many days doing something. I forgot. Anyway, as a courtesy, I sent an email out to applicants 1, 3, and 4 saying, thank you for applying. Position's been filled. I'm sorry. Applicant 1 sent me an email back, just cussing me out and saying a whole bunch of nasty things. It was crazy. Like he just said all these really disrespectful things. Now, this is what happened. 2 days before applicant number 2, the one that got the job was supposed to start, she failed a drug test. Now, regardless of whatever your views are, companies still reserve the right to refuse you employment if you can't pass a drug test. So great candidate, great person, but she couldn't meet those requirements. Applicant number 3 decided to move on to a new position. Applicant number 1, their resume was now in the trash because of everything they just told me. So applicant 4 ended up getting the job. So I sent applicant number 4 an email saying, I'm sorry, we appreciate your consideration, but we found somebody else. And we still ended up hiring him for that promotion. So I say that to say, make sure that you are not burning bridges with people that don't do the things that you need them to do to help your career out. Make sure that you make connections. If you have a situation where someone doesn't offer you a position at their company, ask them why. Ask them, some people will gladly tell you this information. You hired the person that you hired. What about their resume was different from mine? Where can I improve upon? What qualifications did you see that probably were my weakest? And they'll tell you that information. That's stuff that you can work on if that is a specific career that you're interested in going down the road of. Yeah. So before we get to in Q&A, I do have something special for you guys. So I was told at AwesomeCon that I should actually make a channel where I talk about some of the experiences that I had working with different video game companies. So if it's okay with you guys, I wanted to share with you a clip of the first video of my first day working in video games where I actually killed a costume character. All right. Hopefully the sound works on this. We will find out. So as a character handler, you're basically like a sidekick. The character sort of does their character thing. And you basically stand there. You keep them safe, you answer people's questions, and make sure that everyone's having a good time.
I should have been the one to fill your dark soul with light!
Now Kirby was special because unlike most characters, he's basically just a giant balloon. I regret never finding out exactly how he got into the suit, but I'm assuming he just steps inside and inflates it from inside or something. I don't know. Anyway, Kirby comes out, he starts doing his Kirby thing, everything's pretty chill, guess we're having fun, he was having fun, the day was pretty sweet. Let me tell you how I messed all of that up. Throughout the course of the day, things happen to Kirby. Kids roughhouse with him, I roughhouse with him, a million things are going on. At some point, his suit got a rupture in it, but that's fine because we train for stuff like this, and he has a series of signals that he uses to let the handlers know if he has an emergency, which I am 100% kind of sure that it probably wasn't explained to me. So the whole time, I'm thinking it's just Kirby being silly, doing little Smash Brothers moves, and completely oblivious to the fact that this guy's having a full system meltdown inside that suit. That's it. Like I said, I have a lot of stories like this, but my hope though is that at the end of this panel, some of you guys will have your own stories that you can make. Like I said, we did talk about many things today, some of them, a little bit harder to swallow than others, but the ultimate advice that I can give you for finding any job is not to go out there and be like, believe in yourself and have confidence. It's not all that, it's to do, all right? There's people in this room who, after hearing all this, are going to want to say, I want to get a job in video games. I want to work and do this, that, and the third. And they're going to go out and they're not going to do anything. Don't do that. All right. So with that being said, if anyone has any questions about anything, whether it be a position that I mentioned, whether it be something that you're more interested in finding out about, I'm here. Any questions? Yes.
So I'm actually a father of several kids who are interested in going into the video game industry as they get older.
Yeah.
What relative advice would you give me to give to them? It's not really my career field or anything. I know very little about modern programming.
Oh, that's fine.
One of them seems really interested in the development and programming side. And I don't want to lead him astray.
Understood. For the ones that don't know what they want to do yet, and this, I'm not trying to make this sound generic, but tell them, do not let your imagination keep you from the career that you want to have. Because understand this, when we go into 2022, there are positions that have been created in video games that didn't exist 5 years ago. It didn't exist 3 years ago. Like, never in my life did I know that there'd be such a thing as a Microsoft Teams coordinator. But here we are, because everyone has moved to FaceTime. Moved to virtualization. So that's the first thing, is to first figure out what they want to do, but don't let them be limited by what they think they can or can't do. If you have, I don't know how old your kids are, but if you have a kid out there that you're like, I want to work in video games. What do you want to do in video games? I want to be a superhero. Some people might laugh at that. However, you can tell them that there is a position for that, motion capture artist. You can be a superhero, you can be a dinosaur, whatever you want to be. Now, for the child that says that he's interested in doing something in programming, the number one thing that he probably wants to do, since he has a specific thing that he wants to do, and since it's so early on, is he wants to start figuring out what are the core competencies that would get me a job anywhere programming, specifically in programming. Because if you try to do everything, if you try to pick up every single skill within the realm of programming, learn every single language, learn everything all together, there are some places where that's great. If you're like, at a very, very small organization working with maybe 5 people or something like that, but to work at a bigger company, they're looking for people that specialize in something. Do you specialize in Python? Do you specialize whatever, language that it might be? And depending on, are you doing full stack? Are you doing, front end development? Are you doing back end development? These are all things that he can kind of learn as to what's that one thing that I really like that I can now learn how to be the best at that. Because that's what's going to get them the furthest when they get out of school, is being the best at something as opposed to doing a little bit of everything and then hoping something sticks, if that makes sense.
Perfect.
All right, sweet. Anybody else? Yes.
So you mentioned that you originally started working sort of with Sony, and then you obviously doing some work with Nintendo. Is in general, just out of curiosity, do all the different game companies kind of also hire contractors? Is there one more than another that kind of does that? Or is it like Nintendo does more internal, or is it kind of just always similar in that regard?
That's a great question. To an extent, I would assume that every large company hires contractors. Now, the difference between hiring a contractor for what I do and experiential marketing is different from just saying, do they hire contractors in general? I mean, localization specialists can be contractors. And it could be a localization specialist in Spanish, Portuguese, whatever it might be. So to answer the first part of it, I'm sure that every company that's a massive company of that scale probably hires contractors to some degree. As far as the companies that hire me, it all depends. It depends upon what the company's needs are. So for example, there's times where when when Uncharted 3 released, they had a movie theater tournament over in AMC Theater. It was a partnership between PlayStation, Naughty Dog Studios, the ones that made Uncharted, and PlayStation to have this tournament to release Uncharted 3. At that time, I was hired on to do that. I was a contractor that they used to secure that event. But the most recent PAX East before COVID happened, when they were releasing that zombie game, but it's not a zombie game, that Days Gone. They had a Days Gone release event at PAX East. Everyone there, to my knowledge, was in-house. So it kind of fluctuates depending upon the needs of the company. A company might, hire a whole bunch of contractors for one event, but maybe not for another one. Maybe if it's a massive event, maybe if it's an event where, as a contractor, we get trained on games sometimes. Like we'll get flown out to the corporate office, we'll learn the games, but sometimes there might be something that they don't want you to be the one answering questions for. Like whenever we do a holiday event, like when Smash Brothers Ultimate released, I was working that event, but there was also somebody in-house because even though I understand the aspects of the game, when that video game released to the masses, they understood that there's a lot of speculations. There's a lot of things that you don't want a contractor saying on behalf of you, because the person who comes up to you doesn't know that you're a contractor or not. So in that instance, it's like we have a hybrid, some contractors, some not contractors, but it all just depends. And as you kind of work your way through the industry, meet people, network with people, they'll tell you, hey, this event's coming up, would you be interested? We'll fly you out to X, Y, and Z, stuff like that. Anybody else? Yep. All right, that's it. Sorry. Yes.
I know very little about contract work because that's not what I thought it's just a really interesting question. How do you go about contract work in general, and how do you protect yourself as a contractor versus someone who's an in-house employee?
Ooh. So the first question, how I go about it, it took a long way to get to where I am. I make a lot more direct calls to people to find information. If I was just starting out again, I wouldn't make hot dogs again, that's for one. But I would definitely, you can go onto some of the career pages. Like for example, if you were to go onto Nintendo jobs, they'll tell you which jobs are contract positions versus full positions. So you can kind of get an idea of who's hiring for what. Also, I keep hitting this thing, but also if you go to different like networking events and you see someone working at a company you're interested, you can always ask them. You can say, hey, are you doing more things like this? Are you doing, within what it is that you want to do, because like I said, they hire contracts for promotion stuff, they hire contracts for localization, they hire contracts for a bunch of different things. Asking them, within this thing that I want to do you hire contractors for this? You can be upfront with somebody. If they don't know, you can say, can you put me in contact with someone that does? There's usually some kind of manager or a person of contact on site that can help you with that. As far as protecting yourself as a contractor, the easiest answer I can give is to do a good job, because at the end of the day, and I know it sounds really generic, but at the end of the day, when they hire contractors, there is a bit of an expectation that, are they going to be able to handle this because they haven't been, hands-on with whatever the product has been or whatever it is that you might be doing. So by showing them your value, by showing them that you can learn what they want you to learn, that you can give the messaging that they want you to give, depending on what this, I'm saying these from my experiences as a marketer, it could be different from what you're trying to do, but showing them the value of what it is that you do ensures that one, your job stays there, and two, that they call you back when they need more of you. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, sweet. No problem. Anybody else? All right. I'm sorry this was shorter than normal. Like, there was a lot more time for them to talk about the stuff that they did. And I had one person who's coming here from Bethesda Studios. She just got hired on Q&A for them. So I was hoping she would be able to, but thank you guys for coming out. Thank you guys for being here with me. If you guys have any other questions that you can think of, feel free to email me, contact me. If you want to see more of these funny videos, I also have the YouTube channel link down there. But my DMs are open. Feel free to ask me anything. Like, I'm not hiding any information about this. Like, I've worked in this 13 years. I have job security. I'm not scared of losing my job by giving someone information. So feel free to ask me anything. Anything that I can do to help you guys out with your career goals, I'm here for it. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.